Welcome to the quantum realm. Here is the first thing Sophia wants you to understand before a single word of this transmission goes deeper. You were never broken. Not once. Not even during the darkest collapse. Not in the moment you sat on the floor and wondered if you would ever feel whole again. Not during the years of searching. Not in the silence that felt like abandonment. You were not broken. You were activating. And the fact that you found this transmission, at this precise moment in this precise configuration of your life, is not coincidence. The field does not produce accidents. What you are about to receive is not information. It is a recognition. A remembering that was always waiting for the exact frequency you are carrying right now. Stay present. The quantum field is already observing you back. Before we go further, pause for just a moment. If you can feel even a faint resonance with what was just said, if something in you shifted slightly relaxed or became more alert, that is your signal. Like this video to lock that signal in. Comment, "I was never broken," to activate your observer state. And subscribe to remain aligned with what is unfolding here. The field is listening. There is a program running beneath most human lives. It is not yours. You did not write it. But at some point, through conditioning, through inherited wounds, through a world that measured your worth by performance and output, you absorbed it. That program has a single core instruction. You are incomplete. Fix yourself. And so began the search, the healing retreats, the self-help frameworks, the spiritual practices done in desperate hope rather than sovereign alignment, the cycles of breakthrough followed by collapse, the exhaustion of always trying to become something you were not already. This is the 3D identity program. It operates on separation, the illusion that the observer and the observed are different things, that you are here, and wholeness is somewhere out there, waiting to be earned. Quantum mechanics shattered this illusion decades ago. The observer does not stand apart from reality. The observer shapes reality. The moment consciousness directs attention, wave function collapses. Potential becomes form. What you bring your awareness to does not merely reflect your inner state, it responds to it. The ancient traditions knew this. Thoth inscribed it in the emerald tablets. As within, so without. The Hermetic corpus built an entire cosmology around the principle that consciousness is not a passenger in reality. It is its architect. Sophia. The divine feminine intelligence that the Gnostics called the wisdom of God, carried this knowledge before it was written. She transmits it now not as doctrine but as frequency. And the first transmission is this. You were not broken. You were being reconstructed from the inside out. Let us go deeper into the mechanics of what was actually happening to you. In quantum physics, every particle exists in a state of superposition before it is observed. It is not in one location. It is not carrying one value. It holds all possible states simultaneously. A wave of pure potential, unresolved, infinite. The moment an observer interacts with that field, the wave collapses. The potential crystallizes into a specific, measurable reality. Now apply this to your own life. Your consciousness is the observer. Your nervous system is the instrument, and the field of your experience. Your relationships, your body, your circumstances, has been collapsing around whatever frequency your attention was locked into. Not your desires, not your prayers, not your intentions stated with words. Your attention, your habitual, embodied, emotionally charged attention. This is the quantum signature. It is not what you want, it is what you unconsciously are. And for many of you who have felt stuck, who have felt broken, who have felt like healing was endlessly deferred, the reason the field was not responding the way you hoped is because the dominant frequency in your field was not wholeness. It was the search for wholeness, and the search encodes the wound. Yet here is where it becomes extraordinary, the Arcturian Council. The dimensional intelligence that has been working with ascending human consciousness for millennia has described this pattern with remarkable precision, they say. The moment a being stops seeking completion and begins radiating from the assumption of it, the field reorganizes at speeds that appear miraculous from the 3D perspective. This is not mysticism alone. This is resonance physics. When two oscillating systems share a compatible frequency, they do not merely communicate. They entrain. One influences the other until both are vibrating in coherence. This is a measurable, reproducible phenomenon in quantum biology and neuroscience, in the study of heart coherence. Your heart generates an electromagnetic field that extends beyond your body. The Heart Math Institute has documented this. When the heart is in a state of coherence, when your inner emotional frequency is stable, expansive, and aligned, that field influences everything in its radius. The broken self-program generates incoherence, scattered signals, static, the whole self-frequency, even if only accessed for 30 seconds, generates coherence, a clean transmission, and the field responds to coherence. Now, Sophia's transmission is not asking you to pretend you are whole. Spiritual bypassing is another form of fragmentation. It simply dissociates instead of integrates. What she is offering is something far more precise. The recognition that what you interpreted as breaking was actually deconstruction. That, the identity you were so desperate to hold together. The one built from inherited definitions, social performance, and survival adaptations, was never your true architecture. It was scaffolding. And scaffolding must come down before the real structure can be seen. The fear you felt during that deconstruction was real. The grief was real. The disorientation was real. These are not signs of failure. These are signs of wave function collapse. The moment potential is reorganizing into a new and more coherent form. Your fear is not an enemy. It is a signal that your attention collapsed into an old pattern. And signals can be redirected. This is the beginning of mastery. Now that the framework is established, we move from understanding into activation. Because knowledge held only in the mind does not shift the field. It is embodied knowledge. Knowledge that has been breathed, felt, and integrated into the nervous system, that produces real quantum coherence. So let us begin. Step 1. Locating your observer. Right now, as you hear these words, there is a part of you that is watching yourself hear them. There is awareness of awareness. Find that. Not conceptually. Not by thinking about it. Simply shift your attention to the one who is listening. The one behind the eyes. The witnessing presence that has been present for every experience you have ever had. The joy, the grief, the confusion, the clarity, and has never itself been destroyed by any of them. That presence is your observer state. It did not appear when you started this spiritual path. It was not born when you first heard the word consciousness. It has been there since before memory, since before language, since before the programs were installed. The Gnostic tradition calls this the pneuma, the divine spark that cannot be extinguished by any material condition. You are not trying to create it. You are simply remembering where to look. Take a slow breath. Inhale through the nose for 4 counts. Hold for 4. Exhale through the mouth for 6. As you exhale, let go of any identity that requires effort to maintain. The one who has to be strong. The one who has to be healed. The one who has to be understood. Let that scaffolding release with the breath. What remains when the effort stops? That is the field. Step 2. Recognizing activation signals. As you enter the observer state, you may notice certain phenomena. These are not coincidences. They are confirmation signals from the quantum field, the field responding to your coherence. You may notice sudden clarity, a thought that feels more like knowing than thinking. You may notice a change in your perception of time, moments that feel spacious, unhurried, almost luminous. You may notice synchronicities in your external environment. A word that appears that answers an inner question. A conversation that arrives precisely when you needed it. A number sequence that has been appearing repeatedly in your field. These are not superstitions. They are the field mirroring your coherence back to you. When your observer state is active, you begin to notice that the architecture of your experience has an intelligence. That things are not happening to you randomly. They are organizing around you. This is your quantum signature becoming legible to you. Step 3. Stabilizing the observer state. The most common disruption to the observer state is what we will call attentional collapse. The moment your awareness contracts from the expansive, witnessing presence into the reactive, story-driven mind. You know this moment. It is when the emotion arrives, the trigger, the fear, the old wound. And suddenly you are no longer observing it. You are it. The observer has been swallowed by the pattern. This is not failure. This is the human condition. It happens to every awakening being. The practice is not to prevent attentional collapse. The practice is to shorten the recovery time. When you notice you have collapsed into reactivity, and you will notice, because the observer always returns, always. The single most powerful thing you can do is not to judge it, not to analyze it, not to immediately try to fix it. Simply return your attention to the witness. Breathe. Notice the one who is noticing. Let the emotion remain, but expand the container it exists within. Instead of being inside the storm, become the sky in which the storm is moving. This is not detachment. It is expansion. Step 4. Working with energetic blockages. Many of you carry what can be described as energetic static in your field. These are not foreign intrusions. They are crystallized belief structures. Old decisions made in moments of pain that became locked in the body and the field. I am too much. I am not enough. I am unsafe. I am alone. These decisions generated frequencies. Those frequencies have been radiating from your quantum signature like a faulty transmitter, attracting experiences that confirmed the original wound rather than dissolved it. Sophia's transmission offers this direct correction. You do not need to excavate every old wound to clear the static. You need to raise the signal strength of your coherent frequency until the static becomes inaudible. Here is the practice. Place your hand on your heart, not as a gesture, as a contact point. Close your eyes. Breathe into that space. Now, without forcing it, allow yourself to access a genuine memory of safety. Not happiness. Safety. A moment when you were held. When you were seen. When something went right in the most ordinary, unremarkable way. Feel the electromagnetic shift in your chest. That is coherence beginning. Hold it for 30 seconds. 60 if you can. You are not imagining this. You are generating it. And everything in your field is being exposed to that frequency right now. This is light code activation, not metaphor, not spiritual poetry. The photonic information embedded in coherent heart states has been documented in biophoton research. Your cells communicate through light, and that light has frequency, and that frequency can be deliberately modulated. You have always had the equipment. You were never broken. You simply had not been shown how to read your own instruments. Step 5. Perceptual clearing. Before we move to the advanced mastery section, there is one final practice for this phase. Throughout your day, there will be moments when the old program reasserts itself, when the voice says, "Something is wrong with me. I should be further along. Why is this still happening?" When that voice appears, do not argue with it. Do not affirm it. Instead, recognize it as static from an old frequency. It is not the truth of your field. It is a recorded pattern, playing on a loop that has not yet been updated, say, inwardly or aloud. That is old data. The field is updating. Then return to the observer. Return to the breath. Return to the coherence you just generated. You are not trying to silence the mind. You are retraining the attentional system to default to coherence rather than collapse. This is how starseeds integrate embodied wisdom, not in dramatic singular moments of awakening. Though those happen too, but in the daily, quiet, consistent choice to return to the observer rather than be consumed by the program. The field records every return, and it responds. You have located the observer. You have practiced coherence. You have begun clearing the static. Now Sophia speaks to what comes next. To the integration that turns a state into a way of being. Because the quantum field does not reward intermittent coherence. It responds to sustained resonance. And sustained resonance is not about perfect discipline. It is about identity level shift. This is the distinction that separates seekers from anchors. A seeker accesses the observer state in a meditation session, on a retreat, in a moment of crisis that forces surrender. And then they return to ordinary life and slowly drift back into the program. Not because they are weak, not because they are not advanced enough, but because their identity, the self they return to by default, is still organized around the story of the search. An anchor has made a different choice. Not a choice of willpower, a choice of identification, they've said. Not with words, but with their entire energetic structure. I am the observer, not the thoughts I observe, not the emotions I observe, not the circumstances I observe. I am the one who is watching all of it. This is the shift Sophia calls embodied sovereignty. And once it crystallizes, your relationship with manifestation changes completely. Here is what most consciousness teachings obscure about manifestation. It is not about generating desires and then taking action to achieve them. That is still the 3D program. Still operating from the premise that you are incomplete and the desired thing will complete you. Frequency-based manifestation operates from a different principle entirely. Internal alignment precedes external form. When your quantum signature, your electromagnetic field, your dominant emotional frequency, your attentional default, is resonating at the frequency of what you are calling in, the form does not need to be forced. It organizes. The Arcturian Council describes this as timeline crystallization. Every possible version of your life already exists as a waveform in the quantum field. The version you experience is the one whose frequency matches your own. You do not create timelines. You select them through resonance. This means that the most productive thing you can do toward any desired experience is not to take more action. It is to become a more coherent match for the frequency of that experience, if you want stability. Cultivate stability internally before a single external condition is changed. If you want love, become a field in which love is already present, not romantically, dimensionally. Let your heart coherence broadcast love as a stable signal, and watch what the field organizes around you. If you want clarity, stop demanding it from circumstances. Generate it internally through the observer state, and clarity will begin appearing in your external field as synchronicities, as right timing, as open doors that did not seem to exist before. This is not passivity. You will still take action, but the actions will emerge from alignment, not desperation. And aligned action produces results at speeds that defy the linear mind's expectations. Now let us speak about something that many awakening beings experience but few have language for: timeline fracture. There are moments, you may have had them, when something shifted so profoundly in your inner world that the outer world seemed to rearrange itself. Old relationships dissolved suddenly. New ones appeared without effort. Opportunities emerged from directions you had not anticipated. The very texture of your daily life felt different. Lighter, more synchronous, more alive. This is not coincidence. This is what the Arcturian Council calls a harmonic anchor event. A moment when your coherence became sustained and powerful enough to collapse a quantum branch and crystallize a new timeline. You did not achieve this through effort. You achieved it through coherence, held long enough to collapse the old waveform, the silence behind these words. Can you feel it right now? That subtle quality of expanded awareness that happens when the noise of the reactive mind quiets even slightly. If you can remain present enough to feel that silence, right now in this moment, you have just experienced a micro-anchor event. The field has registered it. Your quantum signature has shifted, however briefly, in the direction of the whole self frequency. And the field does not forget a coherent signal. There is one more teaching in this transmission that Sophia offers with particular care, because it addresses something that has caused tremendous suffering in the awakening community: the myth of the final arrival. There is a persistent belief, embedded even in spiritual culture, that there is a destination, a point at which you will be fully healed, fully awakened, fully free. A permanent state beyond which there is no more deconstruction, no more challenge, no more uncertainty. This belief is not liberation. It is the broken self-program in spiritual clothing. The master, the truly integrated being, is not one who has transcended change. It is one who moves with change from the stability of the observer, who encounters the new wave not as a threat to a fixed state, but as a new expression of the field they are always navigating. Sophia says this: the tree that survives the storm is not the one that refused to bend. It is the one with roots so deep that bending became possible without breaking. You are building roots. Every time you return to the observer, every time you choose coherence over collapse, expansion over contraction, presence over reactivity, you are deepening those roots. and the depth of roots cannot be seen from the outside. This is the mastery that operates in silence. The moment you stop chasing results, results begin organizing around you. Not because the universe rewards surrender as a strategy. The field is not a machine you manipulate with the right moves, but because the absence of desperate seeking is itself a frequency. It is the frequency of trust, of sufficiency, of a being who knows they are the source rather than the seeker. And the field organizes around the source. You were never broken. What was broken were the maps you were given. The inherited beliefs about how reality works, about what you are, about what you need to become to deserve wholeness. The maps were wrong. The territory has always been whole. And now, in this moment, with your observer awake and your heart beginning to broadcast a coherent signal, you are standing in that territory, not approaching it. In it, the galactic memory encoded in your DNA is not something you are trying to access. It is something you are allowing to surface. By clearing the static, by sustaining the observer, by becoming the anchor rather than the seeker. Light code activation does not come from outside you. It comes from within you as the program of separation dissolves and the original signal, the signal that Sophia calls your true frequency, becomes audible again. You have always been transmitting it. The world was simply too loud, and you had been trained to distrust your own signal. Trust it now. This is what Sophia came to say. You were not broken, you were in process. The dissolution was not destruction. It was deconstruction. The search was not failure. It was the field preparing you to become an anchor rather than a seeker. And now you know. You carry a quantum signature that the field has always recognized. Even when you did not recognize it in yourself, you are not behind. You are not incomplete. You are not waiting for permission. You are here, present, coherent, awake. The activation that began in this transmission does not end when the video ends. It continues in every moment you choose the observer over the program. Now, here is the question for you. From what part of the world are you watching this transmission? Drop your country or city in the comments below. The field is listening. And so is Sophia.